What's up everybody? Welcome back to another Weapon Wednesday video. And today we're going to be talking about a little thing special I think is pretty cool that is utilizing one of the perks I think as intended. So let's talk about it a little bit, and we'll focus on the main weapon, of course, which is going to be the Dark Decider that you can get from Iron Banner right now. And there's a reason I wanted to bring it up with this kind of build, and I think it's really cool and really unique way to have fun with the game whenever it gets a little dry. And let's just get into it. So first let's talk about the Dark Decider. Okay, let's look at its stats and kind of just glance it over a 1-2. So it is the fast archetype for the auto rifles. It's got a RPMs of 720, magazine size of 50. Stability isn't the worst. It could be better, but it's not that bad. Impact and range is expected for this type of weapon. The same with the handling and reload speed. It is a Vice, so it's in that super fast, you know, bullet sprayer, bullet hose, as you say. But for the perks, we're looking at auto-loading holster. This holstered weapon is automatically reloaded after a short period of time. It's like 4 to 5 seconds. It's not that bad when you pair it with some other things. We'll check that out here in a second. And it's got high cal rounds, which increase the range and knock the target back. It's got extended mag if you'd rather have 60. I prefer that little bit of range bump, reload speed, and the high cals for me, dude. We've got the Corkscrew Rifling, which increases the range and handling, the lost stability. Of course, I'm using the Rifling for increased stability, mostly for Crucible. The Fluted Barrel, which it gives you increased handling and a loss of stability. Not much. It's about the same as this. You know, if we were to use the Corkscrew Rifling, you could get that range and handling, or you could just use the Fluted for max handling. Use whatever you prefer for your play style. And of course, it is a rapid fire frame, deeper ammo reserve, slightly faster reload when magazine is empty. Now, this perk brings me to the whole talk of this Weapon Wednesday that I think I wanted to add in here because I thought it was really fun and it can be quite useful for some of you Guardians out there. Now, what I'm talking about is that auto-loading holster. We're going to be using the Sins of the Past, which has auto-loading holster. And we're going to be using the Song of Justice by New Monarchy, which has auto-loading holster as well. The reason we chose the Song of Justice over some of the others, like the hand cannon that has it, and those other options, is because Song of Justice is going to give us that range that we're looking for when we don't have in the Dark Decider. And it's not a automatic or anything like that. It's just a single shot. So we've got a little bit of both here. We're getting to play with fire. We're getting that powerful single shot at long range, and then we're getting that bullet hose at close range. Now, let's get into gameplay. I'm going to show you the recoil pattern of the Dark Decider, and then we'll talk more about it. So let's talk about the recoil pattern of this weapon. First, we're going to be talking about the Corkscrew Rifling. So let's check it out without actually fighting the recoil. Let's check it out. So the recoil pattern is very vertical. It doesn't seem too off. There's a few hiccups here and there, but it's actually not that bad. So let's check it out while fighting the actual recoil. So it took me a second to stabilize, but not too bad. Now let's change the barrel. We're going to be going to Polygonal Rifling. So we're going to do just like before. We're going to do it without fighting and then with. I don't know why it didn't show up on the wall there. It's not a huge difference, and I didn't figure it would be, to be fair, but we got to do it. You know, it's part of it. So now let's fight it. You ready? Let's go. It is a little easier to fight the recoil pattern on that one. Not as hard in the beginning burst, but it was manageable. So let's move on to the next barrel. Now we're going to be using the Fluted Barrel, which is increased handling. Okay, so let's try it first without fighting it. Not the worst, but not the best either. Looks about the same as the others. I don't notice a huge difference, which is good. That means you can adjust your stats based on more of like handling or range if you want to, or even a little bit of stability. You know, it's not a huge difference. But now let's try to fight it and see what happens. It's actually not that bad. I don't notice a huge difference in terms of the actual recoil pattern. I did notice a little bit on the middle barrel, the actual, we'll go back to it here so you can see it, the polygonal. So note that that one does provide a little bit more stability, like it says. But I didn't notice a big enough difference. I would say go with whatever you prefer over anything. Don't worry about that as much. So let's get to the gameplay, and then we'll talk about how good it is in PvE and PvP to the gameplay. Okay, so let's talk about PvP a little bit. How does this weapon perform in PvP? Honestly, I don't think it's the best auto or option that you have in terms of PvP. It's not bad because of the high caliber rounds and the fact that it has auto loading holsters, so that means you can just swap weapons on the fly. If you're using a build kind of like what I'm using here, that way you don't have to worry about not being able to reload when you need to if your ammo capacity is a problem. But it's really not. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage. It doesn't get the best range, and handling's not the greatest either, but it is good if paired with another weapon that has auto-loading holster. And if you can be patient, you're not just going to be able to take on 3 guys with this weapon. Just be mindful of that. It's good, but is it top tier? I don't think so. Just be smart when you're using it. Pick your plays based on range, and, you know, swap your weapons back and forth. Never reload. That's the name of the game. Never reload. So let's get to PvE, and we'll talk a little bit about how well it does in PvE. Okay, now in terms of PvE, I think this weapon actually is much better. The reasoning being is, for instance, all the weapons I'm using have auto-loading holster, so I can utilize this greatly. I don't ever have to reload. I can just sit here and continuously switch no matter what I'm doing. I think it would be actually really good to use something like this against Callus, especially if you're going into the Void Room, as I call it, or as individuals call it, where you just are the Skull Destroyer pretty much, and you use your Scout Rifle for the Scions, and then use your Auto Rifle at the end for the Skulls. It's got a quick enough reload that when you run out of ammo, you can just reload it, or you could decide to use your Scout. I would much rather reload it at that point, but I think it's good because anything where you have to do continual damage, I think it's good because you don't ever have to reload. It's fantastic. And you get the bonus perk of it having high caliber rounds, which is nice. There's even moments when I tried to reload and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to switch. And I did it, and it was amazing. So guys, that's going to be it for today's Weapon Wednesday. Do I believe in this weapon? I think it's decent. I think it's something you should try to get just to have in your collection. And if you do decide to change things up and, you know, just play a little game of Russian roulette who doesn't have to reload, then use what I showed you here today. But with that being said, Guardians, I hope you have a great afternoon, morning, day, or night, wherever you may be. Cursing Mushroom out.